Zoning Board of Appeals scheduled for this date at this time. Please call the roll.
Dan Durham.
Here.
Don Walker.
Here.
Tony Cook.
Here.
Diane Danaskas. Here. Tony Kirby.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Next, we have the minutes from our September 23rd ZBA meeting. Does anybody, any of the board members have any concerns or motion?
Move that we approve the minutes as written. Support.
I have a motion by Mr. Kirby, support by Mr. Cook. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we have the minutes of the October 1st Township Board of Trustees, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals special meeting. Do any of the board members have any concerns or questions or motion about this one?
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Support.
A motion by Mrs. Danaskas and support by Mr. Kirby. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We have 4 cases up tonight on our agenda. Do any of the board members have any concerns before we get started?
Move to accept the agenda.
Thank you. I will support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We're off to the races. First case, AB 2024-33, WCZ Electric at 677 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell 09-11-430-021. 2 unaddressed parcels east of 677 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell 09-11-430-006 and 09-11-430-007. 681 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell number 09-11-430-004, and an unaddressed parcel south of 681 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell 09-11-430-005. Petitioner is seeking 1 variance from zoning ordinance 78, Zone GB, Article 27, Section 27.11, E1B. They are requesting a variance from the required parking lot standard to allow LED fixtures, lighting fixtures on parking lot poles. Do we have an applicant? Come on up. And give me 1 second before we introduce and get moving. I anticipate that we will have public comment tonight on this case. I want everybody to understand that public comment in this forum is 3 minutes and 1 bite out of the apple. So make sure, please, that you know what you want to say, and it takes you 3 minutes to do it, because I'll be watching the clock on the wall behind you. And when I tell you, thank you for your input, that's your time. We have to keep the meeting moving in fairness to people at the back end of the agenda. So 3 minutes is it, and it will be enforced. Sir, introduce yourself and let us know what you'd like to do.
William Zonfenig, and I would like to get a variance of the ordinance that doesn't allow LED lighting for the parking lots.
Okay. Do you work for the electric company?
I own it, yes.
You own it. Okay, that's even better. Information that we picked up in our packet for tonight regarding this case. The only thing that was advertised and the only thing that this board can speak to tonight is solely the issue of LED lights.
I understand.
Nothing else. No brightness, no illumination, no movement off the property.
I understand.
Okay. And having said that, I will say this, that in my case, if I have LED light in front of me, I don't know that I personally have enough background to make a knowledgeable decision. I'm speaking for myself, not the other gentleman or lady up and down the line here. Just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
You have anything that you can tell us?
Well, we would like to replace the lights that were up there for 25 years because they are outdated, inefficient, and a good portion of them no longer worked when we turned on the electricity to them. So, you know, it's a used car lot, and obviously you'd want some lights on it because of, you know, the high rate of theft and the high rate of catalytic converters getting stolen. It's out of this world, and it's probably unenforceable. So we do not want a whole lot full of cars in very good condition susceptible to getting, broken into, stolen, and every other thing, people hiding out between them, jumping out on people, and also the fact that, customers could possibly walk through there at night and look at cars.
Makes sense that you would want the area lighted. Board members? Mr. Kirby?
Trying to figure out how to address this and stay within parameters. You're wanting to use LED fixtures and replace existing high-density, or what are you replacing, metal halide?
They were mercury vapor.
Oh, okay. Thank you, I did not know that.
And the parts to repair them don't even exist anymore.
It's an antiquated technology that isn't environmentally friendly either.
Absolutely not.
Let me ask you a question. Again, as Mr. Kirby said, trying to stay on the piece of string width that we can speak to this item about. Do you have, in your own mind or on plans, the power of the lights that you want? I don't want to know what it is. I just want to know if you...
Yes, we do.
And the distribution and the movement, if any, off-site, you have all those things lined up someplace?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we can't discuss that tonight in this forum, but it's nice to know that you have moved that far forward. Thank you. Mr. Walker?
I as well, I'm not a light expert, but you say you can't get parts for the lights that are there now?
No, they're obsolete. In fact, to replace the lights, the only light fixtures that you can purchase now are LED. You can't even find metal halide, high-intensity discharge lighting.
If you wanted to buy a whole new set of lights other than LED lights, you're saying you can't, that's not possible?
No, sir.
He's not far wrong. There are some non-LED street lighting that is still available. The last real job I did, this is one of the things we took care of, was street lighting and stuff. But the replacement parts for the mercury, no. That's an obsolete technology you're not going to find. And the HPS and the CMH, HPS, high pressure sodium, CMH.
You're way ahead of
compressional.
me, just, you keep going.
Okay. The lighting for those is about a 35% increased cost to operate, as well as maintenance issues are significantly higher than LEDs.
The operating cost is probably closer to 60% more. Because the mercury vapors had a wattage draw of 525 watts. The lights that are proposed are only 110 watts. So the mercury lights would draw 5 times as much electricity.
Walker, question for the building official. Can you shed any light on this subject?
Well, the Michigan Energy Code pretty much mandates LEDs in all buildings at this point.
We did address a similar issue, I want to say a couple months back, with somebody who was combining some lots and putting in LEDs for their parking lot lighting. So we did vote to give them, based off of we had the full specs and could address everything, the LEDs at that point for parking lot lighting. We're bound by a very narrow margin here, but it is something that is done here in the township.
In your own parking lot.
He's here for this variance, my opinion, is because our variance has not caught up to modern technology.
Or the Michigan Energy Code.
I'll tell you what, we're kind of thinking about it here for a minute. I'm going to ask that you surrender the mic. And the first person that would like to come up under public comment for this topic, please come up, introduce yourself, and you got 3 minutes to shine.
Unintended.
No, I actually wasn't.
Oh, and shine we have. My name is Amy Bird. I'm a resident, a long-term resident on Summer Street. My family has owned the property in Lake Orion for 50 years. I reside less than 120 yards from the business, so it's literally across the street from me. Standards for granting a non-variance. Number 4, the need for the requested variance is not self-created. This is self-created. I want to point out non-conformance to ordinance township lighting 27.11 1A site lighting. I'm sure that you have this in front of you. Properties adjacent to residential properties shall be designed and maintained such that illumination levels shall not exceed 0.03 foot candle along property lines. My neighbors and I had measurements taken using a Klein Tool ET 130 meter and found that the lighting was well above 1 foot candle on a home across the street from the business and continued to be over the allowable standards throughout the entire neighborhood. This is completely unacceptable and a violation of the ordinance set forth to protect homeowners and residents from abuse from commercial investors. Additionally, the new lighting violates Orion Township Lighting Ordinance 27.11.1, which I'm sure you have in front of you. Exterior lighting shall be fully shielded and projected downward to prevent off-site glare. The lights at Victory Motors are not pointed downwards, as they appear to be projected at least 30 degrees above the horizontal plane, flooding the entire neighborhood in a blinding spotlight from dusk until dawn. The definition of a shielded fixture, as per the ordinance, is absolutely not met if you see the lights they propose to continue to use. Shielded fixture, outdoor fixtures shielded or constructed so that the light rays are emitted by the fixture, emitted below the horizontal plane, passing through the lowest point on the fixture from which the light is emitted, i.e. shoebox-type fixtures. These are not being used. A luminary mounted in a recessed fashion under a canopy or other structure in which the surrounding structure effectively shields the light in the same manner is also considered fully shielded for the purposes of this ordinance. The lighting is also taller than the previous lighting used by Malash, which is also a violation of the ordinance, which does not allow for the lights to be taller than the building. Allowing this variance could impact additional neighborhoods in this community. So the issue here is that these new fixtures are far greater in intensity, likened to sports lights that are used in a stadium. They have created not only a traffic danger to the community with blinding lights at the corners of their property intersections, but they have devalued the property and the peaceful enjoyment of our homes by lighting up our windows and yards with floodlights that are far greater than the allowable standards set forth by the local ordinance. It is so bright in our yards at night that you can prop your hood open and literally work in the middle of the night on your engine. These lights are blaring into our front windows, creating near daylight conditions in the middle of the evening hours. The light is so bright that you cannot see to drive up the road to reach the intersection at Lapeer Road and Golden Gate, to pull out onto the main road, or to pull into our neighborhoods. Not to mention the traffic hazard it creates for those exiting the busy Kroger gas station.
Thank you for your time.
The owners created this hazard, sir. Please deny this variance.
Thank you. Do we have another public comment? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Nick Tygoski. I actually live directly across the street from Victory Motors, right behind the Kroger gas station. And I can tell you personally that that light does not affect me in any way, shape, or form, or previously did. When it previously did, I addressed Victory about it. They turned the lights down. It's completely fine. And I actually am happy to see a brand new, small local business move into our community. And I believe that we should embrace it and give them the proper lighting that they need. The only person that it really directly affects with the trees behind the building is me. And I'm totally okay with it.
Thank you, sir, thank you for your input. Something I probably should have mentioned and didn't. Anybody in the crowd, please direct your discussion and your concerns to the board from the podium. We're not going to get back and forth to one another in the crowd because that will just drag things out even further. Do we have another public comment? And anybody that doesn't want to come up now until this case is decided one way or another, I'll give you one more shot in case you think of something and haven't been up already. Sir?
Will Wilshire, 915 Buckhorn Drive. I don't live anywhere really that close to where this is, but one of the things I am concerned about is, since Skelnick Ford is gonna be moving down to Scripps in 24, whatever you approve tonight could have a bearing on all our residents that live on Buckhorn Lake. And I can't understand how someone could present something tonight without any notion of the brightness of what the lights are gonna be. I mean, a great example of the lighting over by the Planet Fitness there. I know that plaza, when the new owners bought that, they actually reached out to us and said, you know, we've got a great idea for the lighting, and if we had a problem with it, you know, come talk to them. And what they did, that lighting is perfect there for a business. It's very low density. It doesn't really expand too far out from what the lots are there, and maybe that's something they should take a look at.
Thank you, sir. I have two pieces of correspondence also directed to this case. They,
I got a comment if you would, Dan. So we're here to talk about the LED lighting, not the property itself having it. Those will all be hammered out in planning commission when they have a lighting plan to show the illumination of the property, which the neighboring properties will be taken account at that point. We will request, there will be shielding requested as whatnot. We're talking about just LED lighting versus halogen or whatnot. So I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole of it's affecting this property or that property. This is just to allow LED lighting, which our ordinance is a little bit behind on the times with that. So just wanted to clarify.
I have two pieces of correspondence regarding this case. I'm not going to read them. They will be placed into the record, and they will be available if anybody needs them. Some of them come with pictures. I'm trying to find the name on the first one. Go ahead. You've got it. Go ahead.
Jean-Pierre Rashish. I'm horrible at pronunciations.
That is one of them. No, they're both from the same person.
Yes, there's.
Yeah, they're duplicate.
Okay, good. We're all set then. Let me have the applicant come back up, please, for a moment.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
just so that everybody knows, the letter that you're not reading in has already been sent to the Planning Commission, which is going to deal with the brightness and all the other stuff. So it's not something that only we are seeing, but the other people who are making the decisions have received it as well.
Thank you. Good point. Do you believe that you're going to need other variances on this project?
Possibly, yes.
How possibly?
Well, the existing poles that are on the property are at a height of 24 feet. They've been there for probably 30 years, I don't know. So the variance would probably be required that we would want the poles to remain that high as long as the foot candle output met the standards of the township.
The point that I was moving towards with this, we can only address yes LED, no LED.
I understand.
You are going to need other things anyway.
We have them.
Mr. Goodloe spoke to a lighting plan that's going to have to be looked into. And
We have that, sir.
do you, and you're believing there may be other ordinances, because the only one, or ordinance variances, because the only one advertised tonight was solely for LEDs.
Correct.
You have three options, well, two options when you bring a case. The first case, or the first option is require a vote on what you brought. This is what I brought, this is what I want you to vote on. vote on it. You may be successful, you may not. I can't speak to it because I'm only one vote. You also have another option, as does anybody that ever brings a case here. That would be to withdraw it to a date certain, to another date down the line when you could possibly get all the ducks in a row and all the information together and make one more concerted push at it, not with a non-successful finding in your packet. That is also your option. You have the right to decide what you believe may be in your company's best interest.
Okay?
I don't normally encourage people to pull back. They came here, they're ready, we want to get them moved out so that when other ones come in, we don't get log jammed. But sometimes in the interest of getting it right, people will pull a request back. Think about it for a little bit while we're working here.
Well, sir, I'd like the vote to go to allow us to have LED lighting, and we are definitely going to make sure that the lighting, when it's complete, will have all the ordinances, except for I may ask for a variance for the height of the poles.
Okay. Mr. Kirby, you have something? Mr. Naskis? All right. Why don't you surrender the mic again? We probably have some more public comment. Anybody else want to come up and speak to this? Because we're getting ready to move this into a motion by the sound of it.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if this is
Mr. Walker.
out of order or not, but I'd like to have the first member of the public come back up. I have a question for her. Ready for some more?
Yes, sir.
Only my kids have to call me sir. You, in your presentation, you indicated, you talked about the lights and the shielding and the hoods and all of that sort of stuff.
Yes, sir, that's part of your local ordinance.
But I see nothing in front of me about that.
There's actually,
Quoting the ordinance now out of,
yes, sir.
oh, okay.
The ordinance is 2711.1,
No, I'm
which talks about the shielding and the lights.
You didn't measure this, you didn't go out and figure all this out and do this. This is something you're getting from the ordinance itself.
The ordinance says that the lights need to be shielded to prevent off-site glare.
Rephrase, you got this from the ordinance, this language.
Yes, sir, I'm directly quoting your local ordinance.
Thank you very much.
I also want to note that the gentleman who was up here saying that it did not bother him is actually employed by Victory Motors. And I also just want to state, part of the standard for granting this variance is whether or not the need is requested for the variance was not self-created. There was no issue. Malash dealership, I grew up in Lake Orion. I moved into that house when I was a baby. I'm 53 years old. So we have never had an issue with this dealership until they decided to change the lights. It never had a negative impact on this community until they created the situation.
With
So,
respect, your time is up, please.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the young lady one question?
Mr. Kirby.
You're not opposed to LED fixtures. You're opposed to something that we can't address here tonight, which is the light spillage, correct?
The intensity of the light is astounding, and I believe there was another resident who actually sent you photographs of what we are actually experiencing that is on the record. It's outrageous, and I encourage every single one of you to have them turn those lights on and come and take a look in our neighborhood for yourself before you consider this.
My question is, you're not opposed to an LED fixture, just the intensity, but the fixture
I
itself?
couldn't speak to what an LED light fixture would look like, so I couldn't say if I oppose that or not. All I know is that having this peaceful enjoyment of my home and my property value decimated by this variance is something that our entire community would be opposed to, because what is good for one will be good for all. And this change will impact everybody in our community negatively if this variance passes. It's not right.
We're all set.
Thank you. Mr. Goodlow, one question. Has there been any ordinance enforcement action against Victory Motors?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, I was just actually looking that up. So they were advised, lights off while under construction, and they need to be shielded correctly to be in compliance with the township ordinance. I do show the follow-up that was complied, and that's all I have for the notes. For anyone out there, if you do believe there is still an ordinance violation, if it is bright, please let us know, and we will go out there and look at it and address it accordingly.
So the current ordinance case has been closed out.
Yes.
Thank you.
Question,
Mr. Neskis.
clarification. So the current lights that are there now, did they change the fixtures with the current form of light, or are these the fixtures that were there when Melasha?
I couldn't answer that. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it was some shielding issues that made the lights go out past what they used to be. And I believe they've been keeping them on longer than Melash did.
I'm trying to clarify if there's still the mercury vapor lights, if it's the lights that have been there for the last 20-some years.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
They have been changed.
Pardon me?
They have been changed,
They have been changed.
but not to like this,
Okay.
which is going to be corrected and addressed.
If you'd like to speak, come back up to the mic, please.
Yes, the lights have been changed, and originally their installation were at a 30-degree angle. They're now at a 90-degree straight-down angle, every one of them, all 19 of them. And the intensity of the lights are going to be addressed with the shielding as soon as we get the okay to use LED lights.
Were they changed in response to the ordinance enforcement people coming out?
No, they were changed prior to that. We didn't know there was an ordinance against it since it's the most popular light. And I would say 90% of the customers on M24 South Lapeer Road have LED lights. Myers has them, Kroger's has them, Skelnick Ford has them, the lot across the street where there's the restaurants and the Taco Bell, they have them. So, when we did this under electrical permit, we changed the lights under part of the permit. We did not realize that LED lights were not allowed. So that's clearly why we're wanting a variance of the ordinance to just allow LED lighting. The corrections that need to be made will be made.
Thank you. Board members, do we have anything additional? Mr. Kirby.
I just want to make a comment, Mr. Chairman. What's before us has nothing to do with the intensity, the brightness, or anything else that's leaving the lot. What's before us is whether or not we're going to allow a fixture, an LED fixture to be specific, to be used in commercial lighting on this property.
As I can tell.
So I just want people in the gallery and anybody who's listening to understand, we're not saying what's there is acceptable. That's going to be dealt with by the Planning and Zoning Commission and all that. What we're saying is they can use a fixture, not even necessarily the fixture they're there, if we vote for an approval that way. So if we deny, then we're going to say that no, they have to go back to a fixture that is antiquated technology, uses more energy, and is more maintenance required. That's my one opinion, and if nobody else has a comment, I am ready to make a motion on this matter.
Stand by for just a minute, please. Mr. Goodlow,
Yes.
correct me when I'm wrong. I believe I heard you say that no matter what is granted here tonight or not granted, the lighting plan will be handled by the Planning Commission and people further up the line.
That is correct.
Any light leakage, no matter what the source, will be addressed in the lighting plan.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
In the event that the lighting plan is approved and they do something different and cause a problem, you have ordinance people in your office that can handle that, correct?
Yes.
So any of the concerns that have been expressed tonight, it's lined up to get them handled, correct?
Absolutely.
If these people are successful, and I have no way of knowing, but if they're successful, people don't have to go home and think it's over, because this is just the first step to getting everything lined out.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, does that make sense to everybody else? Thank you. Okay, I feel better now. Do we have anything additional before motion? Mr. Kirby?
Mr. Chairman, in the matter of ZBA case AB 202433, WC Electric, 677 South Lapeer, Sidwell number 0911-43021. Two unaddressed parcels east of 677 South Lapeer, 0911-43006 and 0911-4300007, 681 South Lapeer Road, 0911-430-004, unaddressed parcel south of 681 South Lapeer Road, 0911-430-005. I would move that the petitioner's request for one variance from zoning ordinance number 78, Zone GB, Article 27, Section 27.11E1B, a variance from the required parking lot standard to allow LED fixtures on the parking lot poles be granted for the ZBA application date stamped received August 23rd, 2024, because the applicant did demonstrate that the following standards for variance have been met in this case, in that they set forth facts which show in this case LED lighting has become the standard, not only in the industry, but under the Michigan Energy Department, and that we are approving the use of an LED fixture only, no specific one, period.
I will support that if the motion maker will indicate that this in no way influences the construction of those LED lightings, the hooding, the voltage, the amperage, or whatever else electrical word that I don't know what I'm talking about. Has nothing to do with any of that. It's only to approve the LED lighting, period.
Correct. My motion is only to approve the allowance of LED fixtures for this parking lot lighting. Anything else will be determined by the planning and zoning.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Kirby, support by Mr. Walker. Anything additional by board members, any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Anybody ask us? Yes. Tony Cook?
No.
Don Walker?
Yes.
Tony Kirby?
Yes.
Dan Durham?
Yes, you pass. You got them. Please bear in mind as you go out the door, the neighbors' concerns, and be mindful, please.
We're going to follow every ordinance.
Because you guys are brand new in the community.
We're trying our best.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, AB 2024-34, Jonathan and Carrie Neal at 138 Shorewood Court, Sidwell 09-03-405-030. Petitioners are seeking 4 variances from zoning ordinance 78, number 78, zoned R3, Article 27, Section 27.01C1A, a 10-foot lot width variance from the required minimum 50-foot width. Number 2 is Article 6, Section 6.04, a 2-foot side yard setback variance from the required 10 feet to replace a side entry porch 8 feet from the property line to the north. Number 3 is a 9.5-foot side yard setback variance from the required 10-foot to replace a deck 0.5 feet from the retaining wall along the property line to the south. And number 4 is a 15.6% lot coverage variance from the allowed 25% for a total lot coverage of 40.6%. Applicant, please come on up. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Neal at 138 Shorewood Court.
Mr. Neal, narrow lot.
Very narrow lot.
It's not even 50 feet, which is the standard, so that's why you need one variance, right?
Got it.
You are replacing a debilitated side exit porch and stairwell,
Yes.
and you're doing in my opinion, the least amount of movement towards the side property line as you can.
That's correct.
The deck at the back, you're not moving out much further. And again, it needs work.
Yes.
And you're lining up to do it.
Yeah,
With absolutely no disrespect meant to you or your property, we used to call those shotgun houses because in one side, right straight out the other end. And
I
it's,
actually had both doors open today and it was letting the breeze through.
And it is a small house on an even smaller lot that I'm certain you didn't build. And now
Nope.
you want to improve it, and you're here with us.
That's correct.
And I'll be quiet, now you talk. Anything we need to know?
So yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't build it. It was a 1954 build. The only reason I know that is because we just went through an extensive interior remodel of the home. There was a piece of wood in the wall that wrote 1954 built. I saved that. We put quite a bit of investment into the interior, and we're just moving to the outside of the property. The existing deck that is on the home right now does have holes through the floorboards. We have some rugs over them to cover, so that our pets' feet don't go through them, and our kids' feet as well. So it's a little bit of a safety issue right now. We did move the entry door, so the porch that was on it, they cut it off at the ground and moved it to the new door, using the existing porch. But I would like to make it more accessible, something with a little bit of a bigger landing. Someone who is, handicapped would be able to use it a little bit easier as well. So that's for the side entry porch. As for the deck, as you mentioned, it's a very unique lot. It's very narrow. The home was built literally 2 feet from the property line on the south, which the property line is a 6-foot tall retaining wall. With that, the deck doesn't go all the way up to the wall as it is now. It's roughly, I think, 12 to 14 feet from the wall. It's a small 188 square foot deck. We're looking to improve the deck, but also make it the width of the back of the home. So it would go the full width. It's not even it's a 188 square foot. We want to add, when it'd be done, it'd be 367 square feet. So I believe it's like a 14 by 25, because 25 is the width of the property. So with that, because the house is so close to that property line, we would like to extend it to that south property line.
How are your neighbors with these plans?
Very well. In fact, one is my brother, who's also here. He's on that retaining wall side. And on the other side, where I want to put the porch, are my other neighbors. We have a very good relationship. It's a small court street, so everyone watches out for each other.
Well,
Yeah,
My GPS, I just say Sherwood Court, and it goes right to it. It doesn't even know, it knows. I've been down that street many times. You and all your neighbors work around all those little lots.
yeah.
often.
So I'm really trying to improve it. Unfortunately, under different circumstance, I inherited the property from my late parents. They owned 138 and 120 there to the south. Me and my brother both lost them unexpectedly, and so we inherited the properties a few years ago. So wanting to make a nice place for our families to go to, update them. The current deck that's there on the property, I don't think we could fit all of our family members on it anyway to try to eat, or eat in the 900 square foot that we have inside the property. So looking to try to extend that deck to the south, butt it up against the retaining wall, and me and my brother's plan is to put either a small spiral staircase in the future or a staircase to go from his property that's 6 foot up. It would only need to go down about 3 or 4 feet to my deck level. That's further down the road, if the deck were approved.
thank you. Board members.
Mr. Chairman, wanted to note that the fire department has no problems with this, as well as we have two, and they may be here to speak, but we have 2 letters of support, one from James Neal and one from Brian and Susan Winter in support of the plans and saying they support this gentleman getting his variance.
Very good, thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, while the board members are rolling it over, do we have anybody who wants to speak to this publicly tonight? Come on up. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Brian Winter. My wife Susan Winter. We are at 150 Shorewood Court, just north of 138 here. I did just want to mention the number 2, the side yard setback. The way their front door comes out, we don't even have on our house like a door or a window that even faces that side. So we literally can't see anything over there. So we're totally fine with that. And everything else, as you guys already said, it's just so tight, and we all just try to do the best that we can down there. Thankfully, we do have a great street. Everyone works together and to make it a very nice environment, and we've been thrilled with what they've been doing already, and we're very excited about their plan. And so, yeah, we're just very much in favor.
Very good, thank you.
I am Susan Winter, and I'm Brian's wife. This is, I know you're here because you're protecting the property. I'm a little emotional because of the conditions by which they inherited their properties. For several years after they lost their parents, I suspect, I might be putting words in their mouth, that, there's a little bit of, it's just so much chaos, but for us, it is so wonderful to have life back in the property next door. And I would just want to see, I don't want to see them have anything that would discourage what they're doing. It's taken a lot for them to get to this point. It's really beneficial to us. It makes our property more enjoyable when we have life next door. They have allowed us to share our yard. We share, sort of vice versa. Just would appreciate that the township would support them in bettering their property value, which in turn improves ours.
Thank you for coming in.
Hello.
Oh,
I am James Neal. I'm at 120 Shorewood Court, just south of my brother's property. I'm not going to get emotional about a deck and some stairs. But I will say that I can speak on the deck side because that is also our shared retaining wall, which we did replace recently because it had developed a 15-degree lean towards my brother's property. And the last thing we want is, 100 tons of dirt destroying his place. So, but we do realize that we are blessed to be able to live on such a beautiful lake and have the properties that we do. And I believe that at least, like I said, I can only speak on the deck variance, will only enhance the property immensely. It'll enhance the safety as far as not having a narrow area that someone or something could potentially get into. So I know he would like to go to the end of his house, which essentially is the end of the, butted up to the wall, and I fully support that.
board members, if we don't have anything additional, we can consider a motion. Mr. Walker, you have one?
Yeah, it was initially tough because I was thinking it was a non-conformity, but we're not enhancing a non-conformity.
Correct. That was my biggest concern when we first started as well.
I do want to add that I know the 25% variant, or the lot coverage as well. I kind of ran the numbers myself, and with the addition of the new part of the deck and the little bigger side porch, it's only adding 3.7% lot coverage. So it's not I know in the paperwork it sounds like it's a 40.6, but with these shotgun houses, I was already way over the allowance anyway, so it's really only a 3.7.
Walked in behind the.
Yeah, you walked in at like 35% lot coverage before
I
you.
did.
This one's over you, brother. Well, our code enforcement officer has disappeared on us.
Yeah, be back. Should we wait for him or should we proceed?
More point of curiosity, I mean, they brought up a valid point, they just repaired the retaining wall. By moving the porch over, or the support structures that are gonna be holding the porch up, if that wall comes down, does that pose a safety hazard that way? It's probably a moot point, but
Yeah, the porch will be on the other side of the home, on the opposite end. On the opposite side.
never mind then, beautiful. I'm good.
Yep.
Mr. Chair? In matter of ZBA case number AB 202434, Jonathan Carey Neal, 138 Shorewood Court, Sidwell 0903405030. I would move that the petitioner's request for 4 variances from the zoning ordinance number 78, Zone GB, Zoned R3, Article 27, Section 2701, Article 6, Section 604, and 2, a 2-foot side yard setback variance from the required 10-foot to replace a side entry porch 8 feet from the property line to the north, and 3, a 9.5-foot side yard setback variance from the required 10-foot to replace a deck 0.5 feet from the retaining wall along the property line to the south, and 4, a 15.6% lot coverage variance from the allowed 25% for a total lot coverage of 40.6%. Be granted for the application date stamped received August 31st, 2024, because the applicant did demonstrate that the following standards for variances have been met in this case, in that they set forth facts which show in this case that the petitioner does show the following practical difficulty. It's a very small lot with a very elderly building, and these are due to the unique characteristics of the property, not related to general conditions in the area of the property. And also the following are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that not apply generally to other properties in the same district or zone, again, because of the size of the lot and the construction of the house. This variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right possessed by other property in the same zone or vicinity. The granting of the variance or modification will not materially be detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements in such zone or district in which the property is based.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Walker, supported by Mr. Kirby. Do we have any additional from the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Don Walker.
Yes.
Tony Cook.
Yes.
Tony Kirby.
Yes.
Diane Duniascus, yes. Van Durham.
Yes, motion passes. You're on your way.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, sir. Next case is AB 2024-35, Reverend William J. Permesso for Christ the Redeemer Church at 2700 Walden Road, Sidwell 09-20-478-019. Petitioner is seeking 1 variance from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R2, Article 6, Section 6.04. Number 1 is a 19-foot front yard setback variance from the required 35 feet for a ground sign to be 16 feet from the front property line, and 1 variance from sign ordinance 153, Section 7, permitting ground and wall signs, a 4-foot road right-of-way setback variance from the required 20 feet for a ground sign to be 16 feet from the road right-of-way. That's it. Do we have an applicant? I bet we do.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Father William Permesso, representing Christ the Redeemer Church.
Tell us what you would like to do, please.
We would like to put a sign on our front lawn on Walden Road. We're at 2700 Walden, approximately in the middle between Joslin and Baldwin. The church was built in the year 2000, and 24 years ago, there was not the technology that we have now available for an outdoor sign on which we can advertise our events and schedules. We have 2,000 registered households that belong to Christ the Redeemer. The great majority of those households are in our neighborhood. Many of those people drive Walden Road every day. And putting a sign on the lawn that would allow us to advertise events and schedules would be of great benefit to the neighborhood and to our community. And so we're seeking this variance so that the sign can be a little bit closer to the road, more easily seen, given the speed limit of Walden Road and the very minimal amount of time someone has to actually read a sign on the side of the road. It's our understanding that if we're a little bit closer to the road, it'll be easier to allow people have at least 2 or 3 more seconds if they're coming from the east or the west to see our sign before they pass it and will be unable to read it.
Well, if that close to the school, the last thing you want is people diverting their attention from their business to look at signs also.
True.
A lot of youngsters around depending on the,
Walden Middle School is down the road, and they have a sign,
my daughter's
and there is a playground directly across from us,
ball fields and all that.
ball field and lacrosse field, yes.
It's where you have the yellow stakes out, right?
Yes, where the yellow stakes are currently on the lawn. The first set is, according to the zone, 35 feet. The next set would be the 16 feet variance.
Very helpful having those out there. Made it hard to mistake what you were about. Board members, Mr. Kirby.
Yes, sir. My understanding is also because the church has been there for a while, you have some mature landscaping and trees that also would block the sign if you were not given this variance.
We do. There is a very large sycamore tree right there that the arrow is on. If the sign were at 35 feet, if you're coming from the west towards Christ the Redeemer, the sign could be impeded, view of the sign could be impeded by the placement of the location of that tree. We would hate to take down a perfectly healthy, mature sycamore tree. Here in Orion Township, we're very proud of our greenery.
Absolutely.
So pushing the sign out a bit would be very helpful for us, for visibility. The view from the going west, if you're traveling from Joslin towards Baldwin, there's not a visibility problem.
Reverend, do you intend to keep the sign you've got now on the driveway?
The sign in the driveway was built when the complex was built in the year 2000. It's impossible to see. It's sitting so far back from the road. It's very small. We do have some night lights on it, but if you ever drove by at night, you would never know what the sign says. It's not visible. It doesn't really identify us. We'd like to have something that's more visible. We are here. We are here, we're active, we're open, we're big, and it certainly would help us with our public image and to the people who belong to our church.
If we were to say yes to this variance, would you be opposed to removing the existing sign to get this sign?
We would not be opposed to removing the existing sign. There is a brick, it's on a brick foundation.
Mm-hmm.
The sign could be removed and the brick would remain, and we'd take the lights off if that was what you desired. Although that sign really is, like I say, it's hard to read anyway, but if you wanted us to take it down, we could.
It's a matter of total signage allowed by ordinance as well for each individual property and the number of signs. So if you're willing to work with us to get this one over here, and I'm one vote, then that tells me you're willing to do what's, you're willing to compromise and work with us in this.
We sure would.
Do we have anybody in the audience that came to speak to this matter solely? Come on up, please. The gentleman, or the reverend rather, will surrender the mic briefly. Introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Karen Sweetlick. I live at 3723 Rolling Hills Road. I've lived in Lake Orion for over 30 years and have spoken at this meeting many years ago. I support the variance of this sign. As I was driving from my house on Rolling Hills here tonight, I noticed that many signs are close to the road, like the church is requesting, Sycamore Creek Apartments, the church across from Kroger, the condos that are on Joslyn before Canterbury Village, Woodside Church, and the township offices here. So I just want to say I support the approval of the variance. Thank you.
Coming out. Board members, do we have anything additional? Additional, we could lean towards a motion if somebody's inclined.
In the matter of ZBA case AB 2024-35, it says Reverend, but it should be Father?
Either one works.
Okay, yes, sir. Reverend William J. Permisso for Christ the Redeemer Church, 2700 Walden Ridge, Sidwell 0920478019. I would move that the petitioner's request for one variance from zoning ordinance number 78, zoned zoning ordinance number 78, zoned R2, Article 6, Section 6.04, number 1, a 19-foot front yard setback variance from the required 35 feet for a ground sign to be 16 feet from the property line, and one variance for the sign ordinance number 153, Section 7, permitted ground sign and wall signs. Secondly, a 4-foot roadway setback variance from the required 20-foot for a ground sign to be 16 feet from the roadway, from the road right-of-way, be granted for plans date stamped September 10th, 2024, because the petitioner did demonstrate the following standards for variances have been met in this case, in that they set forth fact which show that in this case the petitioners does show the following practical difficulty. Number one, and that's the location of the building and / sanctuary on the property and the distance from the road itself. The following are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that do not generally apply to other properties in the same district. Number one is that the road itself has a speed limit that limits the amount of time that one might be able to read it. And then in addition to that, one of the major reasons for locating the sign where it is because there are some mature trees that we'd love to see that will be retained, and that is in line with what we try to do here in Lake Orion. So that's a small compromise. The variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right possessed by others in the same vicinity, based on the fact that, again, based on the speed of the road and the location of the building, this gives you an opportunity to read the sign again and get a sense of what is there. Granting the variance granting of the variance or modification will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements in such zone or district in which the property is located, based upon the following, that the Reverend, as well as representing the church, will remove the original sign that is in the median of the church in order to stay within the confines of the allowed ground sign and wall sign variance ordinance for the township.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Cook, supported by Mr. Kirby. Do we have any additional discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Diane Danaskus, yes. John Walker.
Yes.
Tony Kirby.
Yes.
Tony Cook.
Yes.
Dan Durn.
Yes. Request passes. You're all set.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck to you, sir.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Next up, we have AB 2024-37, Grant and Elise Fodor at 4230 Lumar Lane, Sidwell, 09-31-126-042, to Petitioner seeking 3 variances from zoning ordinance 78 is zoned SF. Article 5, Section 5.04. Number 1 is a 40-foot front yard setback variance from the required 40 feet to build a detached garage 0 feet from the front property line. Number 2, under Article 27, Section 27.02A4, the second variance is 1 to allow a detached garage to extend past the leading edge of the principal structure in the front yard. Article 27, Section 27.02A8, lot size over 2.5 acres. Number 3 is a 119 square foot variance above the allowed total maximum floor area of all accessory buildings of 1,900 square feet to build a 1,193 square foot detached garage in addition to an existing 625 square foot attached garage and an existing 201 square foot shed for a total of 2,019 square feet of all accessory buildings. Come on up, introduce yourself, please.
You're not far. Grant Fodor, Elise Fodor, 4230 Lumar Lane, Lake Orion.
Let us know what you'd like to do and why you'd like to do it there.
Yes, sir. We're trying to build a garage. Why there? Many reasons. Number 1, existing driveway, existing structures, trying to match the angle of the home. Number 2, we have the entire runoff wastewater for all of Lumar on the northwest corner of our property, which limits access to the backyard. We have an engineered septic field on the north side of the house, limits access to the backyard. On the southern border, we have all of our public utilities, the wellhead, and our southern property border, which would limit building the garage over there and limits access to the backyard. So we're trying to build it essentially where that parking pad ends. We're asking for a 0-foot variance, which is extremely confusing. You can see paved Lumar Lane exists there. The variance of 40 feet includes a cul-de-sac, which was abandoned in 2009, but exists on drawings. So when we went to apply, there's this gigantic cul-de-sac circle that doesn't exist, has been abandoned since 2009 when the road was paved. I did submit historical photos if those came through. So the private road agreement was 1977. The cul-de-sac existed all the way until approximately 2008 while the road was gravel. 2009, the road was paved, and every year from 2009 on, the cul-de-sac disappeared progressively. Since we've owned the property in 2015, the cul-de-sac has never been there. There's a drainage ditch. It just plain doesn't exist. So we want a 0-foot setback from this non-existent cul-de-sac, essentially, is one of them. Number 2, the garage square footage says it's 1,900 square feet, which I think is misleading. That makes it think it's this massive garage. It's just a normal 2.5-car garage with a finished loft above it for storage. So the square footage is large, but the footprint is that of a normal 2-car garage. I think I got all of it.
You speak of having stormwater for Lumar Lane. Is it underground? Is it in a ditch?
There's a ditch through our front yard on the western border. There's a ditch on the north and western border, and then the stormwater is above ground on the northwestern corridor. And then it is visible year-round, and our sump runs during the spring and summer months approximately every 30 seconds on and 30 seconds off.
How much ground have you got there?
Land?
Yep.
5.8, 5.9-ish acres.
Okay, help me understand stormwater on top of the ground.
There's like a retention pond, and the pond level goes up and down. And then, go ahead.
Who built it?
I assume whomever installed the road for Lumar. I don't know. It
Do you own
predated
it?
me. Do I?
Do you own it?
A very small portion of it.
I mean, I'm not doubting anything you're telling me. I'm just trying to
Sure,
wrap
if you-
my head around something I've not seen before.
Mr. Goodlow, if you zoom in, and then you scroll to the upper corner a little further. There you go, and then move your mouse to the far right side of the screen. That is the standing water there, which is primarily on the adjacent property, not ours. It does come on our property when the water level rises. There you go, that's a good picture of it.
Right in that corner.
So spring, you catch a lot of it.
Yes, sir, our sump literally runs 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. It's a homeowner's nightmare. The home, when we built, was supposed to be about 8 feet lower in the ground than the home is actually built. They dug the basement, found water, the builder called me, they put a significant amount of crushed stone, lifted the house out. We had to bring in about 2,000 yards of fill dirt to meet the grade of the home so that it wasn't a house on stilts.
Budget blaster.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, now you spoke of having septic fields and such.
Yes, sir.
That would limit placement of the garage. Are you thinking limit where you could plop the building or any type of heavy car, truck, bus that you might take over the top of it to get to the garage?
Well, both. Yes, sir. I would prefer the garage be built exactly where the septic field is. Obviously, that's not an option. If I was to try and put the garage in the back of the acreage, I can't drive over the septic field to get there. To the north, obviously, is all the water that we talked about, and the ground is extremely soft.
What do you on there, clay, sand, what do you got?
Yes, to all of that.
Don't seem to have much drainage.
We do not, sir, no. No, we failed perk. We have an engineered system.
Wow.
I think they dug 6 holes and they all failed. We inherited a lot of their water too.
Board members.
You're brave. I mean, to go ahead and build on, I mean, that's my background is construction, okay? You failed perk and you went ahead. You put in an engineered septic, you hit water, you got drainage, you're brave.
So, well, this isn't wood, but so far so good, sir.
Ooh, man.
There you go. That's, Mr. Goodlow, if you stay there, you can see that dotted circle there. That is the setback of the cul-de-sac that doesn't exist. So when we talk about having a 0 setback, it's on that dotted line. I'm not trying to build the garage touching the paved portion of Lumar.
Okay. Mr. Goodlow? Go ahead, go right. I was gonna ask if we know if that's ever gonna be.
No, I was gonna make a motion, but you go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. Ms. Goodlow, do we know if the Oakland County Road Commission or anybody can come in and use this cul-de-sac setback?
I don't believe so, because it does say private easement.
How would they get it vacated?
Typically, you'd have to go to the register deeds and get it vacated.
I would offer that the zoning is suburban farm, so it's a 2.5 acre minimum. The neighbor immediately adjacent of us is on exactly 2.5, so they don't have enough land to sell. And obviously, we're not interested in selling. So there's not even another home site that could be built there that the cul-de-sac would then need to be installed to access.
Okay.
Yeah, the immediately adjacent to the north, immediately adjacent to the south, and then adjacent across the street. I do have signed letters of support. They couldn't be here.
Didn't see them.
It hasn't affected your bee business, has it?
So far, no, sir.
As probably the only person in this room besides the two of you that took your bee class.
We've been sitting in the room saying, we know that face, and now, thank you for answering that question.
You taught me enough about beekeeping to know I don't want to be a bee.
Was it
Oh, buy your
the stories of
honey
being
anytime.
stung that dissuaded?
It was the number of bees involved, just said, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
When I went out to inspect the property, they thought I was looking for honey. Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Do you have anything?
There's no other questions.
I just had one question. I was trying to find the existing exterior buildings.
Mine?
Yes, sir.
It's a shed. A shed and a chicken
Oh,
coop.
further out.
There you go.
Okay, gotcha.
The little white things that you see are like above-ground planter boxes. That's a swing set. The green and white is a ninja course for our kids' elementary school. And then the large fenced-in structure, as Mr. Walker pointed out, is the bees in the back there.
What type?
Honey.
Well, Italian?
Oh, they're Michigan mutts. It's impossible to tell.
Okay.
Killer.
I took the class, I didn't feel confident asking that question, and I didn't know.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Ness.
Anything additional by the board? Mr. Naskis?
Thank you. In the matter of ZBA case AB 2024-37, grant and lease folder 4230 Lumar Lane, 0931-126-042. I would move that the petitioner's request for 3 variances from zoning ordinance 78, zone SF, Article 5, Section 5.04. 1, a 40-foot front yard setback variance from the required 40 feet to build a detached garage 0 feet from the front property line. Article 27, Section 27.02A4. 2, a variance to allow a detached garage to extend past the leading edge of the principal structure in the front yard. Article 27, Section 27.02A8, lot size over 2.5 acres. 3, a 119-foot square, a 19-square-foot variance above the allowed total maximum floor area of all accessory buildings of 1,900 square feet to build a 1,193-square-foot detached garage in addition to an existing 625-square-foot attached garage and an existing 2,001-square-foot shed for a total of 2,019 square feet of all accessory buildings be granted for plans date stamp received September 13th, 2024, because the applicant did demonstrate that the following standards for variances have been met in this case, and that they set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does show the following practical difficulty defined by unique characteristics that are not related to general conditions in the area of the property. There are a multitude of conditions on this property that make placement of any structure difficult. The applicant would like to match the existing, the new structure to the existing parking pad. With respect to other areas of the property, there's water runoffs in the northwest section of the property. They have an engineered septic field which prevents placement of any structure there. There is a watershed, or a runoff water. They have utilities on the southern end of the property. There is a cul-de-sac, which is there was a cul-de-sac at one time planned, which is the reason that it appears that they're building 0 feet from the property line, but that cul-de-sac was abandoned as of 2009, and therefore the actual structure will be much farther than that from the existing road. Also the ground, because of the low level of the ground, would not allow for the movement of heavy machinery or vehicles to move to the other parts of the property, and so having a garage in those areas would be impractical. The following are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property that do not apply generally to other properties in the same district or zone. Again, in addition to the above described difficulties, the low grade, this is a 5-acre parcel, so there is plenty of space for some more coverage with existing outbuildings, and this is, although it may appear to be a large garage, though it is a normal 2-car garage. Variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the property rights possessed by other property in the same zone or district. And the granting of variance for modification will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property, or to improvements in such zone district in which the property is located.
Motion by Mrs. Danaskis, support by Mr. Cook. Do we have anything additional by the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Tony Kirby,
Yes.
Brian Danaskis, yes. Don Walker,
Yes.
Tony Cook,
Yes.
Dan Durham.
Yes, you're all set. Good luck.
Thank you. Do I need to leave these behind? The letters of support from the neighbors?
Do we have, if we don't have copies?
They're not on file because I got them yesterday. by
Now, why
law.
don't you leave them with us?
I was gonna say, I didn't see him in there.
Yeah, you know, as the other ones were reading off the letters in the record, I'm like,
No, not a
No,
problem.
Just throw them in the file.
What is your website for your classes? Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Not a very good class.
you want an audience? Yeah, we can stay if you want an audience.
Oh, okay.
Next, we have no public left for public comment.
Yeah, we have them.
Oh, well, they're still here.
Yeah, but,
They're public now, they're done.
yeah, I guess you're right. Anything you want to comment on?
Not if you're sitting up here.
Communication, education, we've got a couple of housekeeping things. Apparently, no business for the next meeting. The office took the step of canceling our October 28th meeting. Always a pleasure. And then we have a memo regarding our 2025 ZBA meeting dates. There were a couple of options. Board members, what do you think? I know I don't want to meet on the 22nd of December,
Definitely not.
so I believe they gave us a way to craft a motion. Let's see. Below our suggested motions. Find it? I got mine right on top if you want it.
Yeah, I've got it here. I just had to reopen the file. I was not paying attention. I mean, do we need to make a motion to get rid of the second meeting in December?
Yes,
Uh,
the last paragraph on the front page of the memo. Want me to do it, since I found it?
Yes, please, because I'm having a hard time reading it right now.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Walker.
I move that we approve the 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting dates as amended, removing the December 22nd, 2025 meeting date, and to forward the amended resolution to the Board of Trustees for adoption.
Support.
A motion by Mr. Walker, supported by Mr. Kirby. Anything additional? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. We will be removing the 22nd. Next, committee reports. Anybody have anything? Tree committee or anything like that?
Leave my trees alone.
I think we're supposed to mention, because it counts for education, that we had our joint meeting between trustees, zoning, boarding, and everything else. Lovely 2-hour meeting in which we discussed many things, and if somebody wants to, they can look it up. I'm sure it's online somewhere.
Thank you. Yes, that did happen. 2 hours and 15 minutes, actually.
Yep.
Member comments. You guys have anything that you want to say?
The library silent auction is underway. We'll be having all the stuff. Maybe you guys want to donate something while you're here. I am the president of the Friends of the Library, and we have this holiday auction that we collect things from people, gift certificates, baskets, books. Thank you so much. Who? Oh, my goodness, you know Jan?
She was my prior assistant, and so I've donated from my business.
Oh, because she was with the board for quite some time, yeah. got fed up and is now, just chases the Detroit Lions or something, I think. Yes. And race cars, that's exactly right. Yes. We're still friends on Facebook, I think. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I will just say I appreciate again and thank the board for their standing by this. We get these things in and they're moving in various directions and you got people up and people down. At the end of the meeting, we always manage to smooth it out and get the work done, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Just want to mention, I feel as though we're one step closer to have a demonstration area for the various types of plant materials.
Oh, good.
Even though we didn't get a yes, we didn't get a solid no, so, all right.
Is it got-
Around here, that's progress.
No, when we were at the joint meeting,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
I mean, it can only help.
You said cannolis?
What's that?
I thought you said cannoli.
Oh, it can only help.
Oh, okay.
If we have nothing additional, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you.